everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Horticultural Hails. Apologies for not uploading for a while. I've been a little bit busy and not much has been happening on the garden, but I am back. I'm still around, and I will be doing another video for you today, explaining a few things that I will have to be doing now. Things first, I'm going to show you around the garden so you can see what's happened since I've last uploaded. So to begin with, which is perfectly in shot, I'm growing lovely melons. Now, these I've got two of. There's one in the bottom just over there. These I'll show you later. We'll have to do something special with these now that they're growing. With these I'll show a picture, but these cucumbers have produced loads and loads of cucumbers, and so they're now starting to slow down a little bit because they produced pretty much all of that they will this year, so they're going to start slowing down now. We have baby capsicum peppers, not just on this one but on this one as well, if I can show you under there. And as you can see by the vine tomatoes, I have been picking loads and loads of delicious tomatoes. Now I would tell you the breed of these tomatoes, but I don't know the breed. These are Marmandi, these are the beefsteak tomatoes, they're growing lovely. But with these, what this was is my granddad gave me cuttings, which I've then planted and grown on for these, and he's done cuttings year after year for so long he doesn't know the breed, so we actually don't know what breed these are, but they're the best tomatoes I've ever tasted, hence why I got the cuttings. But they have grown prolifically. And then if I take you outside, now we've had a bit of a problem with our courgettes. I don't know whether I've told you this, but with some of them, these are actually growing quite nicely now. I'll have to cut that one. They grow speckledy leaves, and this is not mosaic virus. These don't tend to get it, but it's another type of virus which is usually in the seed, maybe. We're not 100% sure, but it basically causes really crinkly courgettes to form, and the only way to get rid of the disease is to pull it up. There's no cure. And then we have our beetroot, which, if I could get my shadow out of the way, there you are. They're starting to form proper round beetroot, and I'll show you a picture of these as well. These have started to wilt a little bit. I don't know 100% why, but these have started to produce squash like that one over there. That one needs a few more days, and we've picked at least 4 or 5 squash off of these, so they've done really well. And then if I turn around, we're getting loads of runner and French beans. So the runner beans and French beans we've picked loads and loads of. I'll show you some of the French beans. Yeah, no, we've picked at least a colander and a half full each time we've picked them. But there you are. And so they're producing really, really well. These haven't leafed up as much as I would want them to. Oh, dragonfly. These haven't leafed up as much as I would want them to, and so they've grown more through to the runner bean side than this side. And then along here, these are all of my onions. So now that these tops, I'll explain a bit more, but now these tops have started to go over, I'm going to have to pull these up and just lie them down, but I'll explain more about that. The peas I've had one picking off of so far. They are producing some more, but they're lovely. These you can eat them when they're younger. You can eat the pod and the peas straight off the plant, but when they start to fatten up like these, then you need to take them off and pod them. And as you can see by over here, we've been eating most of my potatoes. Now these have pretty much almost gone. The ones that are left, like these and those over there, these are all big purple potatoes. Now the reason we've been digging only these white potatoes is they make brilliant new potatoes, whereas those have made brilliant jacket potatoes. And then this is my row of lettuces. We've just started using these because we've just finished this row. If you remember, we planted all of those a couple of weeks ago. And these are my next lot. These are now ready to be picked and used. And we had loads and loads of currants, which sadly I just missed by a day, and the birds got them all, which is very annoying. But that's how the garden's going. So next up I'm going to show you what I do with my melons now that they're going to be like this. So what you want to do is get, these are ladies' tights, you can use ladies' tights or ladies' stockings. And these, as you can see, they're very stretchy and elasticated. And what you want to do, this is just to support the vines, and now that they're getting this big, they're going to be dragging on the vine and pulling them down. So if I get one of these and just gently put it around the melon like that, that you can then lift up, and then without catching the vine too much, else you'll kill. But if you strangle the vine through the tights, and that'll then suffocate this from nutrients, and so it will sadly not ripen. So if you avoid the vine and then tie a knot round the back of the cane, this then just offers the vine some more support, so that this is actually, so the tights are actually taking the strain more than the vine itself. And then tie it in that, and this won't move, that will then swell and it won't cause too much stress and break the vine. I've only got one more to do, so I won't show you that one, but I thought I would explain that to you. Next thing I'm going to show you is how I lift my onions. Now that the tops have fallen over like this, it's about time that I do pull them up and tip them over. So what you want to do with these is actually quite simple. It's just gently pull them up, knock any mud that's on the roots, and then just lie them down like that. And that's it. And what this does is the sun hits the onion and then it ripens it underneath, causes this brown skin to show up. And by leaving it there, I then have to turn it maybe once a week just to do the other side. And then that causes even ripeness and it stops them growing now. Now this is a good size onion. Right, so next up on Horticultural Hails, I'm going to be planting my leek plants. Now this is quite simple because you don't actually need to fill any holes or actually dig any holes with a trowel. All you need is a simple dibbing tool like this. This is just a handle off an old fork. And all you really want to do is just go along and make a series of holes about the length of your dibbing tool apart. And then once you've dibbed all the holes, you want to grab, in my case, a tray of leeks, and then just cut round them enough to give them a good root ball and still fit in the holes. And then just put them in the hole, as you would a normal plant, and then leave them. So all you've done is just basically put them in a really deep hole. And that's it, that's all you've got to do for the whole of them. Now these I'm going to stagger, and to prep the ground, all I've done is I've just dug this over because we have potatoes on here. I've dug it over a little bit. This is now all nice, soft and broken down. And I'm going to time lapse through the rest, and I'll see you guys in a minute. So the final thing on this week's episode of Horticultural Hails, I'm going to be planting my Celeriac. So just to prepare for this, I've just quickly weeded this little stretch here, and then I've cultivated it because it was hard, so this is my walkway, and then, then I've just given it a really good soak, just so then there's plenty of water in the ground, so these guys will be happy. So, to begin with, what you want to do is, as always when we're putting stuff in the garden, is dig a hole big enough to fit one of the plugs. So this should be deep enough, and then what you want to do is to get your plants. I have mine here. These have been growing for a while now. They're growing lovely actually. And then what you want to do is just gently take it out of, in my case, my plug tray, or gently take it out of your pots or whatever you've kept them in, and then carefully put it in the hole, just first to see whether it's level with the top of the ground, and then backfill around the plant with the soil you just dug out of the hole, and then when you're about here, firm around the base just to give it a bit of support, and then put some loose soil over the top to dress it off. Alright, I am going to now do a time lapse through the rest, and I shall see you in a minute. Note with these is that if you put them in too deeply, the bulb, which is the bit you eat, won't form properly, and if you don't put them in deep enough, then what happens is the bulb shows too much and just the roots go in the ground, and it doesn't get that much support in high winds. That's the Celeriac done now. That's the last thing on this week's episode of Horticultural Hails. All that's left is for me to say thank you very much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. But better yet, please hold on, and I'll see you next week in another episode of Horticultural Hails.